Forsberg's out, Morgan's out, Wiki Carmona's out, Manuel is on international duty, everybody's out, hell, the coach is out, Sandro Schwartz, and somehow Julian Hall managed to sort of save the day. What's going on, everybody? I'm Tommy C, and I planned to do a lot more Red Bull videos this past summer, but work got in the way of things. So let's start doing these videos going to the home stretch of the MLS playoffs. If you do end up liking this video or any of the videos on this football channel, I ask you to subscribe, comment, and like just to support the channel. And if you stick around at the end, we are a community channel where we take a lot of different creators from all walks of life and all football fields and all football hobbies, including video games, cards, and what have you. So stay tuned if you want to be a part of this particular project. So after the loss at home to rivals Philadelphia, Red Bulls are barely able to scrap out a point against Sporting Kansas City, a struggling playoff team. And what was so frustrating about this, infuriating in fact, is Sporting Kansas City really didn't have that great a game. They weren't playing like a team that might not make the playoffs. You figure they'd play up to the Red Bulls, considering they're a top four team in the Eastern Conference, but that wasn't the case, with the possible exception of Eric Tommy. But I'm not here to critique Sporting Kansas City. They got their own problems and I've got mine. And right there's my problem. Forsberg, has he played since what, July? Morgan back on international duty. I'm sure they'll use him over there in Scotland. Wiki Carmona's down, of course. Carlos Manuel, he's quite busy. This is definitely an uphill battle for the New York Red Bulls, but they have played reasonably well without the Forsbergs and the Morgans. But the problem is when you take those two factors out, they look like last year's team, a team that can't finish, a team that's inconsistent in front of the net, a team that can't make that final pass. And let's not forget, the cracks are in the glass right now. The fortress has been invaded. Red Bulls don't lose at home, and admittingly, Philadelphia Union's playing a lot better, and they had a great run during the Leagues Cup, but we're seeing almost two back-to-back losses at home where the Red Bulls have firmly established themselves as extremely difficult to beat. And now they look very beatable at home. The one saving grace they had throughout the entire series looking like it's starting to crumble. Now, with the league and the conference being out of reach at this point, Columbus Crew, Cincinnati, certainly Miami's more than likely going to win the league this year. The Rebels are comfortable with 43 points, the closest being New York City, the Smurfs, nipping at their heels. And this kind of deficit could be overcome, as you can see here. This is imperative. I can't imagine this is not Sandro Schwartz's goal to maintain an advantage during the playoffs by finishing a top four. So some changes had to be made. They put Burke up front, which didn't really super impress me. Manuel had his chances as well and couldn't finish. And the reason I actually liked the starting lineup is because Vensier wasn't in it. Vensier is the epitome of what I would call last year's Metro team. A guy that gets close, but can't finish. So I was overall happy, but then Vensier does this to me. When they bring him in the second half of the 58th minute, Vensier goes on to create the most Red Bull chances. Why can't he do that when he starts? Why does he do this to me? Look, I like Dante Vensier, but I don't think he's lived up to the DP quality that we actually paid for. Early in the season with a 4-assist game against Inter Miami, that's really been it. Otherwise, he's gone back to oh so close, and I'm certainly tired of it. It's interesting that he had some time off during the game and he came in and performed extremely well. But we really do need him as a starter, especially when all our major talent like Morgan and Forsberg are doing other things or nursing injuries. So thank the Lord in heaven that Julian Hall wanted to make a big impression for everybody. He does seem to have a flair for the dramatic, scoring a big goal back in June as well, all 16 years of him. And maybe it's time to make him a regular substitute. The guy does seem to have a flair for the dramatic, and yes, he's only 16 years old, but why are you paying him to be a professional athlete on the Metro Stars if you're not going to use them? Let Julian Hall play. I want to see more of the 16-year-old kid. Red Bulls should have an easy week next week against the Chicago Fire, but they are also fighting for a playoff spot a little farther out than Kansas City is. But they may be playing desperate. Red Bulls got to be prepared for that. We should be getting some of our guys back, especially Lewis Morgan And at the end of September, supposedly, if his injury, and I actually saw some tape of Emil Forsberg, he didn't look that good. He looked like he was in some significant pain when he was jogging out in the field. If you watch the MLS package, you probably saw that he seems to be struggling, but we do need him, especially for this playoff run. This playoff run is really going to come down to, can we beat a Miami? Can we beat a Cincinnati? Can we beat a Columbus? These are the top teams. In a lot of the ways, the East is almost totally stacked. But this is going to mean the difference between possibly getting a trophy and a spot in the Champions Cup. We have to beat one of those teams. Do I think the Red Bulls can do it? Absolutely. With injuries and Olympics and international stuff, it's not been easy for them, but they've still been one of the better teams overall in MLS. I do think they could probably throw an upset. And that's essentially what Metro needs to do going forward. Put themselves in the best position possible to get an upset over one of those big clubs. Now, overall, especially since last season, I'm pretty satisfied with the job that Sandro Schwartz has done. He was out for too many yellow cards. That's why you didn't see him in the game. And I want to certainly bring him back next year. But if we want to actually do something, the playoffs are a wild thing. And anything can happen. And teams, just ask Columbus, that finish in first place don't necessarily win. Ian Bradley Wright said he was more proud of actually winning the league because it's a lot more difficult than winning in the playoffs because a bad bounce can put you out. And we've seen that before. Actually, we saw that just 2 years ago against Cincinnati. So that's this week's rant wrapped up for New York Red Bulls, the Metro Stars, whatever we want to call them. I call them both. And Chicago should be an easy game, but you never know with this team. Hopefully, more going to be back at full strength, and we can really put ourselves in the best position possible going into the playoffs and maybe knock off one of those big heavyweight face of the league teams that we do find ourselves competing against, top 4 teams in the East. Now, if you like what you heard, I hope you like and comment and share and all that other stuff. We're a big channel as far as what we cover. We do podcasts here. We have different creators here, and you can be a part of it too. Make sure you join our Discord down below. Hook up with us, and you can make content for this particular channel. And I don't care what kind of soccer/football content that you make, as long as it's related. It could be related to FIFA that's coming up, or Football Manager's got a brand new engine. I don't care if it's Match Attacks or that other football game that you get cards with and play against. That's what I'm looking for. Or any team, if you want to do a rant about any team or your own podcast. We also do live watch-alongs over here, and we're going to be putting out a lot more content. I had some business and some stuff going on, so I wasn't able to make videos for Wehen Wiesbaden or New York Red Bulls or do my podcast, but we're supposed to be pushing stuff out. I mean, the season's new here in Europe, and we should have a heck of a lot to talk about. It's an all-around football channel that you can be a part of, and you can hang out with us. There's lots of games being streamed in the Discord, and usually the top ones. And we also, again, we do the watch-alongs. Thanks very much. I hope you like and share, and I hope you appreciate what we're trying to do here. And it'd be really great if we got you as a new member. We'll see you soon. Peace.